So here we are, 908 County Road 18. Our neighbor across the street has number 911. They are the hydrologists, male and female, married couple, both of them engineers. Triangular lot at the corner of Jig Street. Looking into our field and across the front lawn to the garage and the house. Now I'm walking towards the house. Need a new roof this year. Starting to have problems with leakage. This is the elm tree that marks the entrance. An elm tree that I cut down this year because it was interfering with the power lines above, and I now call it my cactus until it grows a little bit of leaves later on this year. It looks like something that belongs in the desert. Moving in a little bit, we come across our teepee for our little chickens. The laying hens reside in this teepee year-round. They have a heater down below and a light so that they can basically spend the winter. And normally they would supply us from 10 chickens, 10, 12 chickens. We would get anywhere between 8 and 9 eggs a day, many of which we donate to the Salvation Army. And here comes some of the chickens. We're down to 5 as it stands now because a red fox came onto the property last week and devoured a number of our chickens, half a dozen or so, along with a turkey that he dragged down the street. And we've located the corpse there. So we're now having to depend on these 5 to provide us with eggs until such time as these little chickies, who are basically the relief crew, and they'll start laying in October. We move along, we can see some of the lawn mowing equipment in the background over here. The property here is a total of 34 acres, and it is shaped in the form of a pistol, of a gun. It is our belief that this farm will, at some time in the future, be much more famous than it has been in the past, as we believe that this will be the final home of the Valkyries, who will locate their headquarters on this site. number of security people that we have nicknamed this property as the Valley of the Valkyrie Queens, in memory of, I guess, the Egyptian valley of the kings, where Tutankhamun's remains and treasure were found. It is believed that on this site, the treasure, although not monetary, but scientific knowledge about genetic engineering, will be uncovered. And we are in the process of attempting to raise the funds from a modern Lord Carnarvon so that we could proceed to an archaeological excavation of the property. The plan is to spend 5 years searching for a quote-unquote treasure which was buried here in preparations for what in Norse mythology is called Ragnarok. And Ragnarok is their version of the end of the world, and the treasure buried here would be the answers to all of the scientific questions that human beings have struggled with since the Ice Age. Valkyries are, of course, the women warriors whose task it is to collect the DNA of the dead soldiers on the battlefield and return them to this area so that their DNA can be used to reincarnate, or in our modern language, to clone them again, and they would serve Valhalla as the defensive force here from an area east of the central building called In Her Jar. Shades of genetic engineering. What you're looking at here is the annual crew of chicks that come in to become our food source for next winter. They're the meat birds, and their visit is temporary over the summer months, and they will end up in our freezer later on in the year, probably sometime in September. There are 31 of them in this tub in preparation for their move next week to the chicken coop. This is where they are fed as babies. Our little pond out here was added to allow us to manage the water distribution that comes from the underground water flow in the spring from the melting snow and ice. And as you may be able to see, although I can't be certain of that yet, it has a number of goldfish in there. As I walk further up the lane, and again with the sun reflecting in my screen, I find it a little difficult to know if I'm pointing at something that I'm looking at, or is it basically focused on the ground. Over in this area you will see a rock shaped in the form of a duck-billed platypus at the end of a down log, which makes the entire imagery appear to be a tomahawk, all of which being symbolic of the real purpose for this property at some time in the future. In this little pen here, we currently have our two cast-outs, a chicken that couldn't get along with the other ones. She has a defect in her feet. I don't know if you can see, but she has no claws, and that somehow made her unacceptable to the other chickens, and they got into some fights over it. Likewise, underneath here is a turkey sitting on eggs. A little strange of this turkey, I don't know if you can see it because it's fairly dark in there. This is a male turkey. What appears to be a hermaphrodite, since in fact it has laid eggs and is sitting on its eggs at this moment. Inside, and again there is not much light in the way of helping you see in here, but there are a few little turkeys up on the log there. These are the babies with mother turkey down below, and their next door neighbors are a couple of ducks that we have called Barbara and Frank. Unfortunately for Barbara and Frank, these ducks haven't turned out to be half as nice as they are, and I wish the hell that I had chosen different names at the beginning. Walking backwards towards the barn area, we can see the chickens, free-range chickens here, always allowed to wander at their own discretion, eating what they choose to eat. And we move past a hayloft building which was constructed by our partners in this operation, and a little cat at the back with her kittens. We have approximately 20 cats here, and it brings a new meaning to the book that was once published on U.S. senators, titled Herding Cats. All of the animals on the farm are basically teachers of their own personality and being, and how those personalities are comparable to human beings. And we've learned a lot of lessons. You can hear the goats in the background here. They're getting ready for their daily romp up front. I'll be letting them out in a few minutes after I've made this little circle here. The area that you're looking at here is an area most likely to hold a Quonset type of building and be used for the excavation project, while a new barn will be built in that other area we saw just prior to looking at the goats. And I can refresh your memory, even though I forgot to mention it when we were looking the first time. But the area of the barn is the area over here with the hydro pole that I had installed a couple of years ago, and this is where we plan to have the barn. The corner of the post you see straight ahead of you is part of the property next door, and it is what allows the shape of this farm to end up looking like a gun. This would be the area basically at the end of the handle where the trigger mechanism comes in. I have aerial photographs, and I can show those later. I've outlined the property on the photographs, and it clearly was designed to be in the shape of a gun. Now, of course, the word gun is G, and the French word un, one, genetically engineered one, is the purpose. This field, which is basically used for picnics by families who come to visit, or lying around in the sun, is only one of a number of places that are used by visitors. As I said, the total property is 34 acres, and it would be large enough, I suspect, for a gated community after the search is done, or for the construction of a major project. We are only a few miles, maybe 2 miles, straight through. If one were to follow the edge of our property straight through to the end, one would arrive at the main highway leading into Ottawa from the USA at Prescott and Cardinal, Highway 416, which has signs on it reminding the people who are in the know that things are about to happen, since they use the motto on the highway that is normally reserved for Remembrance Day, November the 11th, at 11 o'clock is Remembrance Day for our lost soldiers, and their motto is "Lest we forget," or "Lest ye forget." Strange motto for a main highway from the US to Canada, unless it has a particular purpose. And we know that in the mythology of Ragnarok, there is a suggestion that the United States will suffer a cataclysmic nova, and that a number of people who have been pre-warned will find their way to Canada prior to that cataclysmic fire and brimstone turnover of the land that is expected to occur within the time period we are now living, as a matter of fact, which in the mythology is suggestive of the time from 2008 to 2062, with the next coming of the comet Kealey, comet that visits the Earth area about every 75 years. Again, this is a picnic ground used by visitors, with badminton at this end and horseshoe pitching just over here on the side, ball games down at the other end, and people come and pitch their tent or park their vehicle over in that area back there, and spend some time asking me questions about what I've deciphered in the code. These are recent additions that I've put in order to provide some shade and cover when it showers suddenly and people are out playing. They can run in these and take cover here. I'll walk over to the pen where the goats, there are 14 of them, I believe now, and the donkey, Jody is her name, and she's in a mixed marriage with a sheep whose name is Bobby, castrated sheep, by the way, and their relationship is very interesting to watch. Donkeys are supposedly the protectors of the sheep or goats, although to date I would say that the reaction in the face of danger reminds me more of a reaction I would expect from a union leader who makes a lot of noise but goes and hides behind everybody else. So here we have Jody sticking her nose out of the door in their temporary quarters until such time as we get to build the new barn. Behind her, lying down, and I'm sure you can't see it, is Bobby, but he'll be out in a few minutes as soon as I open the gate, and we'll be following them to their pasture at the front, and we'll discuss it there a little bit further. So I'm opening the gate. You'll notice that in the boys' case, this is Remus and Romulus, they are tethered to the fence because while they're in here, they have a habit of attacking the women in their clan. There he goes, and Jody's leading the way out here. They don't attack in order to injure the women. They attack in a hope of being able to add to the colony of goats we have around here. Something like a lot of the men I knew In my younger days, of course, I would have never had anything to do with things like that, although I do have 4 children of my own. As some people suggest, I didn't quite know how it happened. An interesting proposition, nonetheless. So Jody's leading the way. Bobby, her husband, is providing cover, and the goats have it in their nature to tag along. So they've stopped by our main monument here, which is, as far as I can tell, a natural stone, and it's shaped, as I said, as a duck-billed platypus. Probably weighs about 15,000 pounds, probably. They have, the animals have a pasture land here, which is wooded, and the goats, of course, can jump the fence anytime they feel like it, whereas the sheep and the donkey are basically locked into this front lot, which is used as their pasture land. And I'll come in over the fence here. Slide it closed. I'm sorry if I'm not always able to focus while I'm doing these things, but you'll notice that artificial mountains made from safes. One of them toppled over. 2 large ones and a small one are being used, along with a large photographic sink, to provide them with an artificial environment suggestive of being in the mountainous areas that they would prefer. The sink is suggestive of the fact that a large portion of the world is about to go down the drain. So Jody has her favorite nibbling places, and she's coming over to say hi. Hi, Jody. How are you? She's a bit of a, what do you call it, a star attraction around here. Likes to be petted, and has a leash on her so that when her hoofs are being cleaned and done, she can be linked to a fence post. There's a lady that comes in every 6 weeks or so and does her feet. Better off than most people. I wish somebody could come in and do my feet sometimes, but Jody has priority. She's teaching us a lot of lesson, and so are the goats. There are 4 males. Remus and Romulus are the ones with their their leash on, two smaller ones. One coming down the steps there, going behind the small safe, moving across. His name is Odin. And there is also the small black one that's coming down the steps now. He hasn't been given a name yet. He's getting chased around by the ladies. He's the most recent arrival amongst the males. We tried to get a population balance that would eventually give us 13 females and 2 males before we can then consider to start a daily milking program and provide ourselves with the feta cheese that we would use in our salads. The safes, of course, are symbolic of the people who control our world, the toll gators and the pirates, and how they hire scapegoats to do their work for them. Lilac trees in the background, if you can see that. I don't know. I haven't had that much experience with this camera. The work I've done today and yesterday is my first opportunity to try the camera. Our next door neighbors used to live on this farm. This was their parents, and the mother was widowed in 1969, and because there are 5 girls in the family, they had to sell the property, and we were lucky enough to be here at the right moment, at the right time, so that we could take advantage of it, and of course investigate the real usage that will one day be given to this property. All it takes is $3.5 million by a modern Lord Carnarvon to a modern Howard Carter, and I can start the excavation almost immediately. This is my little buddy who just likes to be petted. She's the youngest of the little girls, and she likes me to carry her around, although it's a little difficult while I'm trying to use the camera. How's my little baby? Hey, how's the baby? Hey, such a good baby. Yeah, such a good baby. So this is the front end of the farm, the home of our Canadian Institute for Political Integrity, our dormant political arm, which cannot survive in these strange times, is called the Assembly of Independent Canadians. We chose the letters AIC on purpose because it is a play on CIA, and here we attempt to do everything the CIA should be doing, and that's investigating and telling the truth about what is really going on. However, because the CIA was formed by the Dulles brothers and Reinhard Gehlen, who came from Hitler's Nazi Gestapo police force following World War II, one can believe that the CIA is more inclined to mislead Americans about what is really going on, and do not care to tell Americans exactly what dangers they currently are in. I'm not going to repeat what I said in the talk yesterday, but if you remember correctly, we're talking about a three-phase destruction of the United States, following the repossession of all of the technology that was brought from the Far East into the Middle East and Europe, and then eventually made its way to the creation of a College of 6 Days laboratory called the United States of America, where they basically worked their way up in a plan that would allow them to go into space, completing the project with a Hubble telescope and an International Space Station, and the final act being a satellite that returns to the Oort cloud, the region of our origin. Oort is just a Dutch word that confuses English speakers, misunderstanding the definition of the word, which is basically just a play on the word root. So all comets that hit the Earth have their origin in the Oort cloud, which surrounds our solar system. Some of them come simply to pass through. Others get caught up in the gravity of the solar system and end up being permanent visitors until they burn themselves out. So that's the farm, and you're welcome to come and visit. Specific questions can be dealt with much more easy in this kind of environment than I can in attempting to give a talk that describes everything as we did yesterday, since the time frame and the lack of feedback that I get from normally from a questioner or an audience does not allow me to respond to any individual question, so that in fact can be done here. While you're in the area, you might want to consider as well, if you can afford it, to purchase property that will be your residence should you have to leave the United States in a hurry. So Thank you for your attention, and that's it for now.